are you doing today? Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. That's right. Everybody needs to know that Jesus is God's gift to man. He loved us so much that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him, and I'm a whosoever and you're a whosoever, we don't have to perish, but we can have everlasting life if we accept that good news of Jesus. Amen. All right, my name is Miss Karen Fletcher. How do you do? My name is Miss Karen Fletcher. How do you do? We are so glad, so very glad to see you. How do you do? What's your name? How do you do? What's your name? How do you do? We are so glad, so very glad to see you. How do you do? All right, this week we have been talking about Esther, Queen Esther, Mordecai, Queen Vashti, King Xerxes, Mordecai, Queen Esther, Haman, and it keeps going on and on. So, we talked about Queen Vashti, or Vashti. She was queen, and she was deposed, snatched from the position of being a queen. They just yanked her out of that position and were like, you don't want to act right? You're queen no longer. So she was deposed. And then they picked from so many, they had 127 provinces, and so they picked from the 127 provinces, they picked a queen, and the queen became Queen Esther. She was beautiful. Everyone looked at her because she was so beautiful, right? And then she had an uncle who raised her because her parents had died. I mean, not her uncle, he was her cousin. He was her cousin. Her cousin raised her because her parents had died. And he raised her just like she was his own child. And she became the queen. And they were taken captive. And they were in the country or the citadel or the province of Susa. And that's where they were. And how do I say this? Oh, and Haman. One time, Mordecai heard some guys saying that they wanted to kill King Xerxes, so he told Queen Esther, and she told the king, and the king found out and had them killed. And then a little while later, Haman was promoted, and the king said, when you see Haman, you make sure you bow and you give him honor. Well, Mordecai would not do that, and Haman found out, and he got mad, and he went and he was just angry. And then, how did it work? He got angry, and his folk told him to build a gallows so you could hang Mordecai from it, and then go tell the king. And that night the king couldn't sleep, and he saw that he had not done anything for Mordecai. So when Haman walked in, he was like, who is that walking in? And they said, Haman. And the king said, well, what do you do for someone who deserves honor. You want to bestow some honor on. Well, he had already promoted him. And so Haman, in all his arrogance, thinking it was him, he decided he would tell him, he was thinking, this is what I want him to do for me, because he thought it was him. He said, you should give him the king's robes and let him ride on the king's horse, and have one of the noblemen walk through the city streets saying, this is what the king does for someone he honors. And so the king said, you know what? Do that for Mordecai. Now, he had planned to kill Mordecai, but don't. And so then he decided, not only will I kill Mordecai, I'm going to kill all the Jews within the 127 provinces. And so Mordecai he was in sackcloth and ashes and wailing and crying in the street. And they went and told Queen Esther, your cousin is out there in sackcloth and ashes. And she sent him clothes, trying to find out what happened. And he told her what had happened. And he told her, you got to go see the king. You got to go see the king and tell the king to have mercy on us. Because, what's his name? Haman had signed a decree that on the 7th of March, all the Jews within the 127 provinces, they would be killed. They would be annihilated, wiped out. And so Mordecai said, you got to go to the king and tell him, have mercy on this. This cannot happen. And so Queen Esther said, well, you know, the king has to call you in. He hasn't called me in 30 days. I can't just walk up in there. And Mordecai said, you know, I believe God is going. He said, I believe that the Jews will be delivered. He said, but you know, when they go to getting Jews, they're going to get you too. They're going to end your family line too. And so she said, this is what we'll do. Fast for 3 days. You fast and I'll fast with my maidens. And so she said, and on the 3rd day after the fast, she said, I'm going to see the king. And if I perish, let me perish. So after the 3 days, she got up. She went to see the king, and he said, he held out the golden scepter, because if he didn't hold out the golden scepter and you went to see him and he didn't call for you, you would die. So he went, he saw her, and he held out the golden scepter. She walked to him, she touched the scepter, and then he asked her, you know, what do you want? What would you like, Queen Esther? What is your request? I'll give to you up to 1/2 of the kingdom. That just, what? He'd give her that much, up to 1/2 of the kingdom. And she said, you know, I want you and Haman to come to a feast that I'm having tonight, a banquet. And so he said, okay. And so he told him, go get Haman. And they came to the feast. And so then she said, well, he said, well, okay, what do you want? She said, well, tomorrow you and Haman come to this feast, and then I'll tell you what I want. So we got 1 day, 2 days. Haman, he felt so good when he left there. He was like, oh, the queen asked me to come and have dinner with her and the king, just the 3 of us. Woo! And he walks all outside and he sees Mordecai. And he is mad. So, you know, this is what he said. Now, they were supposed to kill all the Jews on March 7th of the next year. And so this is what he said. He went home and he told his wife, oh, I'm so rich. I've got all of this wealth. I've got sons, these 10 sons, just a wonderful family. We're doing good. The queen invited me and me only to have dinner with her and the king. She's invited us to have dinner again tomorrow, just me and the king. But that does not weigh. That does not hold any weight to how I abhor Mordecai. You all remember what abhor means? What does abhor mean? I need that definition before I can continue. What does abhor mean? I'm looking. Oh, I see new people. Hi, Melithia and Diane and Kim and Pastor Swells. Hey, how are you guys doing? What does abhor mean? Hi, Vonda. I am looking. Hate. Yes, Mordecai. He had great hate. He abhorred. Another word for hate, he loathed. Mordecai. Yes. Those are two words I hope you never ever forget. Abhor. I remember one time I was teaching and I had to bring that word up, and so I was like, abhor, it means to hate, to really hate. And then one of the students said, I abhor broccoli. He got it. Anyway, he understood. But so Haman, he abhorred Mordecai because Mordecai would not bow to him. Mordecai did not honor him that way. And so he went home, he told his wife and friends, and you know what they said? This is what you do. Build a gallows. Build it about 70 feet high, and then tomorrow go to the king and tell him you want to hang Mordecai on that gallows. And so he felt good about that. So the next day he got up, and that's when the king had the dream about about Mordecai saving his life. And that's when he walked in, and the king said, who is that out there? And he said, Haman. And he asked Haman, and so that's when the king told him, okay, well, walk Mordecai through the city, just like with everything you said, don't leave a thing out. So he had to have him in the king's robe, he had to have him on the king's horse, and he had to walk him through the city saying, this is what happens. So he was just so outdone with that. And then they went to the dinner the next day, and the king said, again, what do you want? I'll give you half of the kingdom if that's what you want. And she started describing somebody that wanted to kill her. She said, to kill me and my people, to annihilate us. And the king said, who is that? And she said, it is the evil Haman. Oh, the king got up disgusted. He was really mad. He wasn't just disgruntled. He wasn't just angry. He was mad, and he got up. He went out to the gardens. Well, Haman didn't go out to the garden. Haman stayed in there, and Queen Esther was sitting on a couch like she was reclining, and he fell on her right when the king walked in. He said, so you would assault her right here, right where I am. And he told the eunuchs to come get him, and Harbona said, well, and they covered his face. Once they covered his face, that meant death. And Harbona said, well, you know what? He had a gallows built in the back of his house to have Mordecai hang. And the king said, hang him. So they hanged. They hanged, not hung, but hang. You don't hung people, you hang people. You have hung clothes, but you hang people. So they hanged Haman. And so then the next day, they promoted Mordecai and all of that. And so now we're all the way to, where am I? We're all the way to chapter 9. That's what it is. And so it says, they were celebrating when Mordecai was promoted and all of that. He wrote a decree. So what's his name? Haman had a decree to kill the Jews on March 7th. And then Mordecai had a decree to kill anybody that came to kill them on March 7th. And that was a decree that went out, and they had a big celebration and all of that. So then March 7th comes. And the decree, this is Esther 9. This is, wow. Okay, let me tell you where I'm getting mine from, because I just looked at that, and that's a different date. So, according to the NLT, I believe, the NLT on March 7th, the two decrees, they were put into effect. One group of people were to kill and annihilate the Jews, and the Jews were to kill and annihilate whoever came against them. And then the ones that were supposed to kill the Jews, they were supposed to take all their stuff. And the people, they were afraid of the Jews because Mordecai, he was kind of weighty. He carried a lot of weight. So they were afraid of the Jews because that was Mordecai's decree, to kill whoever came against the Jews. So anyway, now I have to go back to my notes. So the enemies of the Jews originally hoped that they would overpower the Jews. But the opposite was true. The Jews overpowered their enemies. The Jews stood ready to attack anyone who tried to hurt them. No one could stand against them, and they were all afraid of the Jews because Mordecai was second in command and he was a Jew. All the nobles and the highest officers, the governors and the royal officials helped the Jews because they feared Mordecai. Well, on that day, March 7th, in Susa, which is where the king lived, they killed 500 men. The Jews killed 500 men. So the Jews so the king went to Esther and he said, well, you killed 500 men right here in Susa. What have they done everywhere else? And so he said, well, what else do you want? Is there something else you want? He just found out that 500 people in Susa had died. And then he asked Esther if there's anything else you want. And so Esther said, well, can we do the same thing tomorrow right here in Susa? And so the king let that happen. But everywhere else they fought on the 7th, and they had a festival on the 8th. That's what happened with everybody else. So they had this everybody fought on the March 7th. And then on March 8th, the people in Susa, they had a fight. They were still fighting, but everyone else in the other provinces, they were resting. They decided they would have a feast. They would celebrate. And anyway, the Jews were saved. They were not annihilated that day because of Haman's ideas and thoughts. And Mordecai was second in command to the king. They ended up having a celebration day. It was called the Feast of Purim. And at the Feast of Purim, they just remembered what happened, and they were supposed to have food and share things with the poor. The Jews were. But because Queen Esther was in her place, she could help save her people, because that Haman had planned to wipe them out. And so that is just why I want you all to know that God has a plan for everybody's life. There is a plan for everybody's life. And so that's why we could go to our memory verse, which is found in Jeremiah 29 and 11. And you all remember what that says? It says, you know I have to look for it like I don't know it. But okay, anyway, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. He knew the plan he had for Queen Esther. She just had to walk in it. Now, God has a plan for everybody. He has a plan for everyone's life. I just can't say it enough. And it's a plan for welfare and not for calamity. But if you choose, he also gives us a choice. If you choose the wrong thing, then the calamity that comes, it comes because you made the wrong choice. He'll give you, just like Adam and Eve. He had a plan for them, for welfare and not for calamity, to give them a future and hope. But the word was, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The day you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. What did they do? They ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They didn't die that day, but they sure ended up dying. So we've got to watch our choices. Watch your choices. When your parents tell you to do, You do this, go this way, write this, take your time, read this, clean your room, whatever. Follow the plan, follow the plan, follow the plan. There is reward in obedience. There is protection in obedience. And just like your parents, they have a plan for you. God has a plan for you. And I pray that your parents' plan is lining up with the plan that God has for you. And make sure you walk in that plan. Okay, so I just gave our memory verse for today. I forgot. I got carried away. What is faith? Remember I said I was going to ask that. What is faith? I need to hear what faith is. You guys tell me what faith is. That's right. God's plan is good, Diane. It is good. What is faith? I need you all to tell me. Come on. Come on. Tell me what faith is. I know somebody knows what faith is. I need to know. I just gave you 4 things to make faith happen. So tell me those 4 things. Although you might remember 3. But you need the 4th one to do the 3. So, what is faith? Faith. And don't tell me Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I got it, but I need to know what that means. Tell me. What is faith? I'm trying to see who's been here to hear my, well, I see one person that's been here and so many names have gone by. It is to trust in, rely on, and adhere to. That's right. Faith is, first you got to believe something. Remember I had the chair and I had to believe that the chair was going to hold me. So that's belief. Now, faith takes you to what you believe. I'll demonstrate again because that's an easy one. So, I believe this chair will hold me. So faith makes me trust that I'm going to believe that the chair is going to hold me. So I'm walking to it. What did I say? Trust in. Rely. So I'm going to start sitting down, and adhere. I'm not going to stop because I can stop and say, well, the chair's not going to hold me, and I can walk away. But no, I'm trusting. So I'm starting, I'm relying on, I'm continuing, I'm adhering to, I won't quit, and then I just sit right on down, and ba-bam, I got what I believed. All right, so very good. That is faith. What is our Bible song for today? Ivory wants to be part of the class. I don't know if you can see her, but she's right here. The producer has kept her out, but he had to do something to the camera, and she got away. Bible song. What is our Bible song for today? We've got a Bible song and a fun song. Come to think of it, put them both up. The Bible song and the fun song. What are they? Bible song. You all are looking. I guess I'll just look too. I mean, you all are thinking. I'm going to look to figure out what the Bible song is. And the Bible song today can be, well, for those of you in the eye of the storm, because don't you think they were in the middle of a situation? In the eye of a storm, God remains in control. So that's what we're going to sing. And it goes like this. In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor. when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm. Yes, God's love is all around us, even in the middle of the storm. And do we have a fun song? Because you didn't give me a Bible song. Do you have a fun song? A fun song. I'm looking for a fun song. I'll let you pick the fun song. Because I've only got one fun song listed here. Oh, no, I don't. I have two. And a fun song. Somebody. Anybody. 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 I cannot believe I haven't heard from my MJ. What is a fun song? What's the other one? Okay. We can do, we'll do Head and Shoulders. Let's do Head and Shoulders. Oh, bingo. Bingo is good. Bingo is good. Bingo came up first, so we'll do bingo. I was going to say bingo. That was the first thing on my list. And I said, I won't pick it. All right, here we go. Bingo. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, B-I-N-G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, I-N-G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, 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 and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer, had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, and Bingo was his name. Oh. All right, well, it's been my pleasure being with you today and every day this week. I hope you really learned something. I pray that you learned that you were made on purpose. You were made for purpose, and walk in the purpose that God has for you. It will bless your life and the life of others. I hope you remember to live by faith. Believe God's word and walk it out. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for your love for us, for your loving kindness for us. I thank you because you do have a wonderful plan for our lives. It's a good plan, and you will help us carry that plan out. In Jesus' name, amen. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus is. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know. Everybody ought to know who Jesus That's right. Make sure you share him with everyone and have a great rest of your day. It likes me.